Well, this is the headliner trim for the sunroof opening, and I got it out of Europe again from the VW Classic stuff, and it was gray, light gray colored. So I've been dyeing it dark, and already had 2 cracks at dyeing it midnight blue, and it still needs another coat. It's sucking up a lot of dye, and anyway, I'll eventually get it there, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt. And this is the American headroof cardboard liner that I've scraped all the old foam off of. The problem I've got with my headliner materials, it's I'm running the pattern left to right. So with the sunroof, I've got it going this way, and that's the way the fabric is cut on the roll. And it's only wide enough to go kind of across the roof, but not down the sail panel. Not down the sail panels. So I'm going to have, because I think the original one, I can't remember exactly, I think the original one was all one big piece. So I'm going to have it stop at a line, and then have a separate panel that's glued to the metal directly, rather than being glued to the cardboard. So joy, I gotta figure this out. So anyway, I can go at this now. I've chosen 2 products to work with that are both contact cement derivatives. One is this gel formula, Oldwood gel formula contact cement, and it's really nice to work with. It has a nice consistency, and it doesn't. It takes a good 10 or 15 minutes before it sets up, and so it gives you positioning time, working time. And this headliner and fabric adhesive, I haven't started spraying it yet, but it gives you again longer drying time, up to 60 minutes. So I mean, once you sandwich things together with the adhesive, once it's started to dry, it's not going to be repositionable very easily. But this stuff at least is not as aggressive as some. The headliner material, it's got foam on the back of it. You got to be careful. If you push it down, you'll compress the foam, and then you'll have it permanently sticking down. You'll see your fingerprints. So when I get the headliner on that cardboard and the headliner on the other panels, got to be really careful not to use my fingers. I'll have to press down with blocks of wood, and just enough to get the contact cement to grab, but not anymore, so I don't collapse the foam and end up with a potential permanent collapsing of the foam. I did that on the headliner, and I was able to rub it briskly with my fingers on the surface and get it to release, but I think I was just lucky. So yeah, here we go with this stuff. Alright, so the way I'm going to do these is I'm going to glue on the sail wing fabric first, and have this fabric here. I'm sure this is the way it was done originally, because I can see that the fabric was folded over this edge here. So this is all captured by the window molding, and then this is folded back. So, and everything else along the edges here is captured by the moldings all the way around. So I'm going to fold it over here, and then I'll have some pre-glued piece already on that it'll push up against. And I'm going to check some pictures on the internet, but I think that's the way it used to be. And you can see that I guess it was maybe for European cars, there was shoulder belts in the back, and I'm pretty sure those never appeared on the US cars. The shoulder belts were only in the front. So anyway, so what I'm doing here is got my contact cement out, and I'm going around wherever the corners and edges have been frayed or delaminated. There's lots of problem areas, great along here and stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm just relaminating them with the contact cement, and then I'm, wherever things are weak or damaged, I'm taking stiff cardboard and I'm layering that on the back of it. And then once everything is remediated and this thing is completely prepped, then I'll glue on the fabric very carefully. And I think I'm going to use at least one extra pair of hands to do that. So that's the deal, is to can't fuck up when I'm gluing this stuff. So anyway, I will use probably 2 other people to help me lay it flat and get it right. So I've got all the repairs done in different places, and I've also gone and used some high quality masking tape to or duct tape to put some strength around some of the edges that are a little bit beaten up, and hold the curved shape so that when I lay in the fabric, it you know, I know what I'm laying against, because it doesn't hopefully I'm going to test fit it right now, but that it'll actually follow the shape of the roof correctly. So I guess I'll have to stretch the fabric in to the corners a little bit. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I've got this thing just with some paper clips holding it up there. First of all, you'll notice that I've taken the dome light and I've cut the wires, and the reason is simple, and that is that the plastic dome light doesn't fit through that without damaging the cardboard. And once I've got everything kind of nicely put together with the fabric and everything, I don't really want to be forcing that thing through and stretching the fabric or wrecking the fabric. So I'm going to put a little Molex connector on it so I can mount the panel and then you know, attach the dome light and then screw it into place. So anyway, over here you can see I got a mock-up of the separate piece of the sail panel or the C pillar. I'm going to have to do the same thing over on the B pillar. There's a little piece at the top, and I'm not going to have the holding, you know, those loops for. I never used them, or I don't think anybody ever did, getting in and out of the car. So what I'm going to do is this plastic molding, which so that goes in, and so the fabric has got to go to that end, and then there's a piece of fabric that needs to go to the top, and I'm going to actually bring it down, covering up the holes. So that's kind of the way the factory did it, I think, anyway. But basically, if you look across the way, you'll have the fabric come down where the holes are, and then cover up some of the vinyl strip, and then with plastic strip, and then sort of it loops back in on itself. So there's some debate or some discussion on VW Vortex about, you know, the original fabric not having foam backing, but the midnight blue fabric I got from SMS Fabrics, this stuff here does have foam in it, and so it does 2 things. One, it makes everything is a little smoother because there's the foams on it. It covers up all the little bumps that you get on the original seams in the factory piece. Don't show through anymore, but it's thicker, so you got to be careful, you know, and you're going to be wrapping it around the edge here and putting it the trim piece on. And I'm not sure if I could peel the foam off the back or if I want to, but it's going to just make it a little more difficult to attach maybe. But we'll do that. By the way, I am completely flummoxed. I am confused. This trim piece here, which has got the little tabs on the back that go into there's 4 tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and as far as I can tell, there is no mounting holes. And you see there's 4 mounting screw holes, and they're not in the metal underneath in here, and they're nothing is through here. So I'm not frigging sure how that piece gets held in. I don't remember. So the best thing I can think of is to tap and drill holes for it, so that it does mount into the sheet metal, or if it's spaced off a small amount, maybe I'll put some blocks of plastic that it threads into, but that are adhesively attached to the to the cross member at the top. I just don't know, right? Like this, it's supposed to go in and hold the front up. I don't see how those screws attach to anything. And the other thing I got to work about is, you can see these wires here. I'm going to have a hole and a grommet. So these two wires, one is a temperature sensor, and the other is the video connector that goes to, and power that goes to the aftermarket mirror I've got. So got to put that right about there. And so there's a few things at the front here that my middle-aged brain can't figure out. Anyway, I'm getting close to gluing this fabric in. Just back here, I'm mumbling, but this seam here, this seam, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the fabric and fold it around here, and then I'm going to leave a little extra piece, so in both directions I'll show you if I come around here. So it's kind of bullshit the way the factory did it, but this piece is held up by the fabric going around and over the pinch weld. And of course, if you're not careful and you don't use sealant, water will wick underneath the rubber gasket, and it always damages and rots out this edge here. Matter of fact, there is some wet damage here. I'm sure every car has it. The way you solve that problem, according to the wizards on the internet, is to put some sealant along here and then put the rubber molding on, and you're supposed to loop the fabric up and over this edge, but then you got to somehow saturate it with sealant and pinch it underneath the rubber, and that holds this whole back piece up firmly against the ceiling. But these little edge corner pieces, you run the risk that they don't push in hard. And of course on this side, or you can see I've already got the mock-up for the sail panel piece. This one seems to push up a little bit better, but still, maybe with all the foam, it'll take up the gap. But what I'm going to do, I think, is put some positive curvature pressure on this by having a little extra bit of fabric here that extends out, that I can then pinch around. So this will get pulled tight up against, so each piece, that'll get pulled up, this will get pulled up, but they're two separate pieces of fabric. So I'll have a little wedge that's cut out here, or a piece, like a line that's cut here, and then I'll have two pieces of fabric here that I'll have to pull around and glue on separately. So we'll see how this all goes. But it's a bit of a hack job the way the factory did it, but I'm going to roll with the punches, I guess. Okay, so my brain is cleared up a little bit. So those plastic spacers, the metal flanges don't fit into them. The metal flanges just sit against the rubber, and the screws go into those flanges. So I've got the side pieces, the A-pillar pieces mounted on each side, and lo and behold, when they're in and they're flush, the centerpiece is 3/16 of an inch too wide. You can see there it's lined up on the passenger side, but on the driver's side you can see it's almost a quarter of an inch. I have two choices. One, I can, because they slot in, I can cut open the metal in behind, so I can sort of overlap it a little bit over this edge here. And I probably will end up doing that, just because you know, with some tolerances, maybe at some point I'll go, oh, it's too short now that I've cut it. So at least it'll overlap. It won't sit flush. It'll sit proud on both sides slightly. If it's sort of 3/16 of an inch or something, you know, an 1/8 of an inch or whatever, it'll sit slightly proud of it. But I don't think your eye gets drawn to that, especially with the visors once they're installed. So anyway, I'll fiddle with that and get that installed, and then I'll know for sure exactly where all these front dimensions are. But it looks like I'm ready to go to glue the fabric, and now I got all my mounting points organized and everything. So gluing is coming right up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use you know, spray on the contact cement, the 3M product, use wax paper, and be able to sort of slip the wax paper out of the way, and then with blocks press the fabric against the surface and make sure it stays, you know, aligned. It doesn't start pulling, and I want the lines running across absolutely parallel. Don't want it to get out of shape. So I hope I won't fuck it up. So there's my super awesome roll of headliner material from SMS. So I go and cut it up a bit more now. Yeah, so I found something interesting out. So you can take this material and peel off some of the foam from behind it. Now it shrinks. You can see that it kind of curls in. So the foam is acting as a kind of a dimensional stabilizer to the fabric. But I'm just thinking where I'm going to fold the fabric over itself to create a delineation point on the B-pillars. Where it's going to cover up the vinyl. I think what I'll do is I'll just peel off the foam and then wrap the fabric around the back, and then that'll be the line to the you know, to the plastic trim, the vinyl or whatever it is, the trim. It extends down to where the seat belt shoulder belt mounts. So it's gonna work. So I got my two pieces here for my sail panel, my C-pillars, and I can glue those in. Well, my strategy for the spray-on glue is to basically I've got it masked off here, so I'm going to spray the panel, spray the foam, and then without waiting, you know, the requisite minimum 5 minutes, I'm going to put it on, see if it holds at all. So it gives me a chance to move it around a bit right before the glue really sets in. I'm going to do that on the headliner as well. So I'm not looking for massive strength here. Obviously, when the glue dries, it's going to be stuck. But as long as it doesn't separate, it's got a little bit of bite to it. And then it gives me a chance, if I don't get it exactly right, I can pull it and push it and move it around a little bit. So again, you don't want to collapse the foam when you press it on, because it may just stay collapsed if you're not careful. So anyway, here goes up, and I'm going to give it a whirl. See if I can get this thing done. You know, it went pretty well. I have not overlapped this material over the pinch weld. I've just cut off flush, so I ran the blade tilted slightly out so I don't nick the paint, trimmed it off. I took it up probably a little bit higher than I needed to, but this material stretches nicely to get around these curves. So I think it worked pretty well. I think I had to sort of slice the material into the corner to get it to spread, but it stretched a bit and pulled back from the edge, so I've still got a margin there to work with, but it's a little tighter than I'd like, so I'm going to see if I can avoid doing that on the other side. And but otherwise, I think it's going to be fine on the side too. Yeah, so the the C-pillar on the passenger side went smoothly. I guess if you do this enough times, you get the hang of it. So I'm going to glue on the strips that run along the lower, the B pillar in the lower side of the window, rear window, and then I can do the top of the B pillar little pieces, and then the headliner, and then I hopefully will declare success on this challenging little part of the project. Yes, my wife's away, so why not use the kitchen? I'm going to apply this fabric incrementally. So I'm going to spray, say, a foot linearly on both the foam and the cardboard. Let it flash off for a few minutes, but not too long, and then pat it down, and then spray another batch. Slowly push it across. That's my cheating strategy here. We'll see how it goes. So here we are. I'm just on the last stretch. Thought I'd show it to you. It's going pretty well. The idea about doing it every foot or so. I don't need to let this thing sit for more than about 2-3 minutes to flash off before it bites pretty hard, and then it gets pretty much impossible to reposition it. It'll just pull the top layer of the cardboard off, so you got to be a little bit careful about that. Get it right the first time is the motto, I think. There's a few little blotchy areas. Some of that may be the foam, some of it's the underlying material. It's probably not entirely even. I highly recommend you don't step on this, you don't lean on this, don't get the cardboard uneven, don't start twisting it and bending it and manhandling it. So I've seen a few pictures of people standing on the center of this stuff, and it's definitely something you don't want to do. Anyway, yeah, so it's going well. Okay, so I trimmed it and done a bit more gluing at the edges. So wherever the molding for the door or the rear window is, I've just left 1/4 of an inch. The cardboard was pretty much where it needed to be, but a little bit more doesn't hurt, but too much would be a pain. Front, I've just sort of glued it over the edge. It's covered by that metal strip. I've left this long because it has to be folded up around the sunroof opening. Here, there's another transition piece in the B pillar, so this has been folded over. And again, in the back, this flap here, what I've done is this piece has to be held. This goes up around the rubber molding on the pinch weld, and this is the transition to the sail panel, the C-pillar. So yeah, it's I'll flip it over, show it to you in a sec, and then it's gonna get put into the car to be test fit. There she be, Billy. So yeah, the blotchiness has gone out of it. I also used a lint roller to clean this fabric. Likes to grab dust, as I said, and I think rolling it a little bit with a lint roller also helps, just relax the fabric so that it now looks the part. So it's going to be awesome. I was nervous about doing this, obviously, and you haven't done something before, you're always afraid you're going to bugger it up. So yeah, that it worked well. So I've left the fabric slightly loose in the corners here so that it'll pinch a little bit and get the fold the way the factory look was, and on both sides. So I think it's going to be a nice feature in the car, having such a clean headliner. So okay, I'm going to put it in the car next after I do the B-pillar pieces. Oh, I just about forgot, I had to put that grommet in there for the visor electronics, the wire. So got that in now, and I can say this is done. So I got the those moldings cemented in now, and I'm going to put the transition piece on the top, and then I can put the headliner panel in. So again, I'm just pulling back the fabric, trimming off the foam, and then gluing it around so that I've got a nice transition edge. And there's the B-pillar pieces, and they're in now, and then I'll put the headliner in now. So this is, you know, sort of in. It's not permanently in yet. I don't have any of the moldings, rubber moldings to hold it in place, so I got paper clips holding it on. So it's in position, and you know, generally speaking, looks awesome. You can see in the B-pillars, I'm going to need to redo them because they are not wide enough. I'm sure that I'll have a little bit, even with the rubber in there. I'm not dead sure, but it looks like I need to be an inch wider on both sides here as well, right? So you can see there's a gap. Fucked up. Otherwise, it's good. The flaps that go down on the side there's nothing that really holds them super firmly up. So I'm going to probably, when I mount this, put some contact cement between, you know, the C-pillar fabric that's already glued on there, and then the roof headliner material, and just sort of push them into place and get them to grab each other a bit more tightly, because those flaps at the back tend to hang down a little bit. There's nothing that can positively hold the rear corners in place otherwise. So anyway, it's gonna work, and I got realized I had to get the rear view mirror installed, so got the mount adhesively attached to my Lexan front window, and got the cables run and tested it. So that's good. I sure as hell wish I had put the sail panels a little bit, the material a little bit higher though. I'm right on the very edge of not having enough material. I can stretch it over and cover it, but I'm close to not having enough material in those corners. So a bit of a oops moment on the B-pillars. On the C-pillars, I wish I'd gone up a little higher as well. So lesson learned. And but could be worse. You know, it's nice to have the headliner in now. It's going to look good. The only thing that pisses me off is that I'm going to have to unbolt the sunroof mechanism in the corners, at least, to be able to get this material glued in and have the trim piece put in. I can't do it. There's a flange there that is clearly going to stop me from working. The only other thing is there's the clips that hold the you know, the sunroof headliner panel in place, and you know, those clips pop out of position and they get caught on the foam, and I had a bitch of a time getting that in without damaging the headliner material that's on that on the sunroof mechanism. But I got it done. But oh man, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. So I'll get her. I'll wrestle her into place. As I said, I'll redo those B panels tomorrow, and then I can start permanently putting it in. I may put the windows in actually. I'm kind of itching to get those rear windows in at least. So we'll see. Ha ha ha. There she blows. So yeah, got her done. Just about screwed up. I just about glued in the rear edge, and then it was like, oh right, I haven't put the hatch on yet, and I need access to the bolt hole. So big oh shit moment there as I was gluing away, going, better not do this. So yeah, In terms of the tricky bits, so obviously there's some nervousness putting holes in where the winder mechanism is, but I got over my nervousness and did that. The idea being that I'm going to probably have to pull out the gear mechanism, so I've got a slotted hole underneath the plastic cover that I can pull the mechanism out if necessary. What else? I think I told you I actually put a Mullix connector so that I could just drop the light assembly in rather than have to thread it through, pull it through. And then I had to clearance on this front corners and along the sides. Actually, let me just roll the rope, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so the molding, as it gets put into the channel, this guide molding here, I told you I had problems just basically, I can't take this out because the screws underneath are sort of, the bosses are loose, so I had to sort of vice grip them and hold them in to put the screws in, and then once the cloth is in, you can't get access to the screws anymore, so I can't take this in and out very easily. And then how do you get the trim piece under the metal? So what I did is I actually trimmed the edge on the sides here so that it would fit in, and then in the corners where there's even bigger problems, I actually cut the metal lip out in the corner and then just sort of pushed it into place, and yeah, it's fine. It works great. I just got to clean it up. Everything's got fingerprints and some dirty little this and that, so I have to sort of clean up, but otherwise, yeah, we're good. And now I can get the rest of the front window moldings in and get the dash in and other things like that. So yeah, it's a big relief to have this done. Harder than I thought it would be.